All right, future super reasoners, welcome. Last time we were all about the power of observation, right? Sharpening our eyes to see what's really there. Well, today we're taking the next big step. We're moving from just seeing the world to actually decoding the arguments that try to shape it. And trust me, we're going to spot some tricky ones.
I mean, you've totally been there, haven't you? You're listening to someone talk. Maybe it's a debate or just a conversation, and this little alarm bell just starts ringing in the back of your head. You know something is off with what they're saying, but you can't quite put your finger on what it is.
Well, that feeling is often because some arguments are basically a magic trick. Seriously, they look real, they sound convincing, but they are specifically designed to fool your thinking. A magician uses sleight of hand to trick your eyes, right? Well, these arguments use flawed logic to trick your brain. On the surface, it all looks solid, but underneath, there's definitely a trick going on.
So that's our mission today, if you choose to accept it. We're going to pull back that curtain. We're going to learn how to decode these arguments and see all the tricks for exactly what they are.
Think of it this way. We've already trained our brains to be expert observers. Now, we're just aiming that same superpower at language itself. We're going to go beyond just listening to really understand the why behind what's being said.
Okay, so who's the main culprit in our investigation? The suspect we're hunting down in all this tricky talk is something called a logical fallacy. This is the secret ingredient. It's the key to pretty much every bad argument out there.
And this is such a perfect way to think about it. A flawed argument really is like a building with a cracked foundation. It might look perfectly fine from the outside, all painted and solid, but the second you apply just a little bit of pressure, a little bit of critical thinking, the whole thing just collapses.
So to get a little more specific, a logical fallacy is basically a flaw in reasoning that makes an argument totally unsound. But here's the kicker, and this is the most important part. They almost always sound reasonable. That's what makes them so sneaky. They are masters of disguise, dressing up flawed logic to look like simple common sense.
Okay, so this is all great in theory, but what do these wobbly blocks actually look like out in the wild? Come on, let's get into it. Let's examine some evidence.
All right, detective, let's open up our first case file. We're starting with a big one. This is one of the most common fallacies you will ever see, so it's the perfect place to kick off our investigation. This one is called the person attack. And the tactic here is, well, it's pretty simple. If you can't beat the argument, you attack the person who's making it. It's a classic distraction, a total smokescreen to get everyone to stop talking about the actual facts and ideas.
So take a look at this. You can't trust Sarah's plan for the project. She's always late for meetings. Okay, let's break that down. Does Sarah being late have anything to do with whether her project plan is good or bad? Nope, of course not. The argument just completely ignores the plan and goes straight for an attack on her character. See that? That is a huge red flag.
All right, you're getting the hang of this. Let's open up case file number 2. Now, this next clue, it's a little more subtle, a little sneakier, but trust me, it is just as common.
We're calling this one the misdirection. You might have also heard it called a red herring. And the whole goal here is to just change the subject. You bring up something totally different, usually something that's way easier to talk about, and you just hope nobody notices you never actually answered the original question. And here is a perfect, everyday example. Yes, I forgot to take out the trash, but look at how clean I made the kitchen counter. I mean, hey, a clean counter is great. We love to see it, but it has literally nothing to do with the trash. The person is just misdirecting, waving something shiny over here, hoping you'll forget all about the original issue over there. Okay, so let's do a quick side-by-side. With the person attack, the focus is all on who is talking, trying to make them look bad. With misdirection, the focus is on what you're talking about, trying to change the topic entirely. But you see the connection, right? Both of them are designed to do one thing, avoid dealing with the actual idea on the table. So why does any of this matter? Look, learning to spot these things isn't just some boring school exercise. It's about building a real practical toolkit for yourself, a super reasoner toolkit that helps you think more clearly. And these two fallacies, they're the first two tools you can put right in it. Because at the end of the day, the real goal here is to make sound, logical decisions for yourself. And your tools are actually pretty simple, but they are so powerful. You've got to question assumptions, you have to evaluate evidence, and now you can spot those wobbly blocks in an argument before the whole thing comes crashing down.
And I really want to stress this.
This whole thing isn't about being that person who's always shouting gotcha or trying to win arguments on the internet. No way. The real power of this skill is for you. It's all internal. It's about getting clarity in your own head so that you're not so easily fooled by tricky talk.
So, I'm going to leave you with a challenge. Now that you're officially a super reasoner in training, what tricky talk are you going to spot first? I guarantee you, once you start looking, you'll see it everywhere. So keep your eyes and, more importantly, your mind open.